If sea levels rise, these will be the first places to be wiped out in the world. Welcome back to the latest episode of T-Top Nam Explores. Dear friends, the impact of climate change is causing sea levels to rise rapidly. And because of this, some of the world's most iconic locations are at risk of disappearing forever. And the question is, what are those places and what can we as a community do to prevent this disaster? Let's find the answer together right now. One, Venice. Italy's Venice has long been etched into the hearts of many visitors for its dreamlike beauty, known as the floating city. Venice captivates every gaze with its canals as beautiful as paintings and its seemingly weightless charm. However, behind that beautiful image lies a worrying reality. The city is gradually sinking, and this problem is not new. For decades, Venice has faced complex and multi-dimensional threats to its existence. This beautiful city is built on a network of small islands in a lagoon. With foundations made of millions of wooden stakes driven deep into the soft mud. Although this system has stood the test of time, it wasn't until the mid-20th century that scientists fully grasped the severity of the issue. Because in the early 20th century, artificial wells were drilled to extract fresh water, depleting the groundwater beneath the city and causing the ground to gradually subside. Although these wells were closed in the 1960s, the damage was irreversible. Currently, Venice is sinking about 1 to 2 millimeters per year, and the situation is worsening due to the effects of climate change. Global sea level rise is a factor exacerbating this problem, with water levels in Venice having risen by 32 centimeters since records began in 1872. Even now, sometimes up to 75% of the city's areas become inaccessible. Forecasts indicate that without drastic measures, Venice could be completely submerged by 2100. Two, Maldives. The Maldives, a tropical paradise famous for its mesmerizing white sandy beaches and clear blue waters, is facing the risk of complete disappearance. Located in the Indian Ocean, this country has an exceptionally low terrain with an average elevation of only about 0.9 meters above sea, making it one of the most vulnerable places to climate change. It is predicted that much of the Maldives could be submerged within the next century if current conditions are not controlled. The main cause of this problem is rising sea levels, a direct consequence of global climate change. As Earth's temperature rises, polar ice caps and glaciers worldwide are melting, causing sea levels to rise continuously. Currently, sea levels here are rising by an average of 3 millimeters per year. But more concerning is the decline of coral reefs, a natural protective layer that shields the archipelago from large waves and erosion. The coral reefs in the Maldives act as wave barriers, capable of absorbing up to 97% of wave energy. However, increasingly warm ocean temperatures, along with large-scale bleaching events, notably in 2016, destroyed about 60% of the coral reefs here. As this protective layer weakens, the islands become increasingly vulnerable to the power of ocean waves and the risk of flooding rises. Without urgent solutions, the Maldives not only faces the prospect of being submerged but also losing its status as an iconic paradise in the heart of the ocean. 3. Tuvalu. Tuvalu, a small nation with 11,000 residents living on 9 scattered coral islands in the Pacific Ocean, is facing an existential challenge. Time is running out for this country, and its people are forced to confront the prospect of a nation that only lives on in memory. According to scientists, much of Tuvalu will be submerged below sea level by the time the children of today grow up. With an average elevation of only 2 meters above sea level, Tuvalu is becoming one of the hot spots of climate change.
Over the past 3 decades, sea levels here have risen by 15 centimeters, 1.5 times faster than the global average.
NASA researchers predict that by 2050, half of the main island, Funafuti, home to 60% of Tuvalu's population, will be submerged by high tide daily.
Life in Tuvalu has already begun to be severely disrupted, with seawater infiltrating groundwater sources, causing crop failures, forcing residents to rely on rainwater tanks and raised garden beds to grow vegetables.
What remains of Tuvalu is gradually disappearing beneath the waves, and now the nation's diplomats are tirelessly fighting to secure a legal future when their country is swallowed by the sea. 4. The fastest sinking city. Although no country is expected to face complete destruction by 2100, many major cities are at serious risk of severe flooding. One of the clearest examples of how rising sea levels cause significant real-world difficulties is Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia. Jakarta, currently home to about 10 million people, has been dubbed by the BBC as the world's fastest sinking city, and in reality, it has been sinking by 5 to 10 centimeters per year due to excessive groundwater extraction. According to the World Economic Forum, most of Jakarta's area could be submerged by 2050. In fact, Jakarta's situation is so dire that the government is planning to build another capital city, Nusantara, on the east coast of Borneo, about 2,000 kilometers from Jakarta. Given the severe challenges Jakarta faces, building a new capital is not only an urgent solution but also a clear testament to the serious threat of climate change. Do you think so? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
China, one of the world's most populous and rapidly urbanizing countries, is currently facing a severe land subsidence crisis. This phenomenon not only threatens the lives of millions but also causes significant damage to infrastructure systems.
Major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Tianjin are sinking at alarming rates, forcing researchers and the government to act quickly. And what causes this situation, and are there any solutions to prevent further damage? The answer lies in the strong impact of human activities combined with climate change. In urban areas, especially in northern China, excessive groundwater extraction to meet increasing demands has depleted aquifers. When water cannot be replenished in time,
the soil above loses support and begins to subside.
This process accelerates under the pressure of massive constructions like high-rises, roads, and other infrastructure. Statistics show that nearly half of China's urban areas are sinking at an average rate of 3 millimeters per year. In some places, this rate exceeds 10 millimeters per year, resulting in about 270 million people living on gradually sinking land.
This situation poses a major challenge to the country's sustainable development.
Without timely solutions, the risk of subsidence will continue to cause unpredictable consequences, turning many urban areas into silently submerged lands. New Orleans, like Venice, is facing a serious risk of subsidence. The city is built on wetlands at the mouth of the Mississippi River, with topography and geography that make it prone to sinking over time. Since its founding in the early 18th century, New Orleans has continuously fought to stay above water. However, the current rate of subsidence is increasingly alarming, and the future outlook for the city is grim. The French Quarter, the oldest part of New Orleans, sits on slightly higher ground, about 3 meters above sea level. However, later expanded areas lie on low-lying swamps, with flat terrain where every centimeter of elevation is crucial for flood management. Currently, most of the city has sunk 1.5 meters to 3 meters below sea level, and this continues at an average rate of about 1 centimeter per year. Combined with rising sea levels, experts predict that by the end of the 21st century, New Orleans could sink 2.5 meters to 4 meters deep. Hurricane Katrina in 2005 not only devastated the city but also accelerated the subsidence process. The storm flooded 80% of the city and severely eroded surrounding wetlands. To adapt, many homes in New Orleans are now built on raised foundations to resist floods, especially in low-lying areas. This architectural style reflects historical heritage and is a practical solution for life in a city sinking day by day. Manhattan. Manhattan, the vibrant center of New York, is sinking under its own weight, not just affected by rising sea levels. Manhattan is also impacted by the massive weight of millions of skyscrapers, symbols of the city's development. Notably, continuous construction is exacerbating this problem. According to another study, the total weight of over 1 million buildings in New York is about 761 million tons. The pressure from these structures causes the ground under Manhattan to subside at a rate of 1 to 2 millimeters per year.
At first glance, this number seems small, but accumulated over decades, the impact will be significant.
In some areas built on weak foundations, the sinking rate is faster, up to 42 millimeters per year. It is predicted that by 2050, the city could subside an additional 10 centimeters, and combined with rising sea levels, the risk of flooding will increase sharply. More worryingly, sea levels around New York are projected to rise by 20 to 76 centimeters by the end of this century, making major storms and heavy rains even more dangerous. Besides building-related causes, subsidence is also a result of other factors like natural soil compaction and human activities, including groundwater pumping or construction on artificial land. A study published in 2023 clarified the link between urbanization and natural geological processes, showing that uncontrolled development can accelerate these changes. Manhattan, a symbol of modernity and prosperity, is facing a major challenge, which is finding ways to cope with the pressure from its own growth and an increasingly harsh natural environment. Solomon Islands. The Solomon Islands, a tropical paradise in the Pacific, are now facing a serious threat from the climate crisis.
With a population of just over 500,000, this island nation is bearing the heavy impacts of rising sea levels.
In recent decades, several islands have disappeared under the waves, serving as a clear warning of future risks.
The beautiful islands of the Solomon Islands, with lush natural landscapes, magnificent coral reefs and pristine beaches, are now facing the threat of encroachment. The low-lying location and geographical characteristics of the islands in the western Pacific region
make this one of the most vulnerable areas to rising sea levels. Not only is there a loss of land, but this also profoundly affects the culture and economic life of the local people. They are facing displacement from their homeland and witnessing the loss of traditional customs as the sea continues to encroach further inland. 9. California. California's beaches are famous for their endless stretches of golden sand, surrounded by rugged cliffs and the vast ocean. This is an ideal destination attracting millions of tourists each year, while also being home to vibrant beach communities.
However, behind that captivating beauty, a natural disaster is quietly occurring.
Beach erosion due to rising sea levels is threatening to change the face of California's coastline, causing unpredictable consequences. Beach erosion is the phenomenon of land being washed into the sea, and this situation is becoming increasingly serious due to continuously rising sea levels. The main cause is ocean warming due to greenhouse gas emissions, causing seawater to expand and sea levels to rise. Additionally, the melting of ice in Greenland and Antarctica also contributes significantly to rising sea levels, as fresh water from melting ice flows into the ocean.
These factors are causing the sea to encroach on land, washing away sand and soil, changing the morphology of California's coastline.
According to studies, sea levels could rise from 60 to 210 centimeters by the end of this century. All the locations we've covered in this video are living proof of the unavoidable impacts of climate change. These cities and islands are not only cultural heritage but also home to millions of people. Environmental changes are creating a major crisis, threatening not only the future of these localities but also affecting the entire world. We, each one of us, have a responsibility to protect this planet. Awareness and action starting today will help minimize the damage caused by climate change, protect natural wonders and sustain life for future generations.
Please subscribe to the Mystery_Core channel and like the video if you find this information useful, and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section below.
Thank you for watching and see you in the next videos.